guys, welcome back to another video. First I want to say thank you to everybody who's subscribing, who's commenting and who's liking. Really means a lot, guys, so thanks a lot for that. And today I'm gonna answer a question that I got from one of the subscribers who was kind enough to ask me, Vito, how did you do those speed warp transitions and those zoom in and zoom out effects in a couple of videos back where I used that in my intro? So I'm gonna talk a little bit broader on how you can make your drone videos a lot more interesting. And I'm just gonna use the same intro as I used in that video because, you know, I can. I'll segment this video down into 3 steps. First, I'll talk about what you need to do to actually prepare before you start flying and what kind of mindset you should have and what you should think about before you even take the drone out. Second, I will talk about the optimizing that media that you get from the drone. Now, you guys know if you fly DJI drones that those 4K files are just a disaster to edit on your computer. And third, I will talk about how you can then add those speed warps and those zoom in and zoom out effects and how you can match that with the music. Now, before you start flying a drone, you have to think about what type of music is going to go along with your drone footage, because there's nothing more boring than having just a flying drone and no music behind it. Also, think about the rhythm of the music and the speed and the pace of the music. This is going to dictate how fast or how slow your shots need to be taken, how fast you can rotate or how fast you need to fly over your subject. The second thing is keep the drone footage as smooth as you can and don't try to correct the drone mid-flight, because even if it's a really slow correction, if you just do a little minor tweak of the position of the drone, if you accelerate that 10 times, that's going to be like a camera jerk, and that's just basically a clip now gone to pieces. So don't use that. So make long and smooth clips. Now, what I like to do is I like to find and set the drone into motion, find the position on the joysticks where the drone is rotating and panning at the same time, and then as the drone settles into that flight curve, I just press record and I just hold those joysticks for as long as I can, and then just, you know, stop recording and then reposition the drone. This way I get a nice smooth clip without any corrections in between, and that clip is actually ready to use. Importantly, the clips need to be really long, so try to make 30-second long clips or maybe even a minute long clips, especially if you're flying around the subject, because once you speed that up quite a lot, you know, though that 30 seconds is going to be compressed down into 3 or 4 seconds. But you actually need a clip that's long enough so that you can do this kind of fast swoop around the subject motion. And there's not really much that you can do with a drone. You can basically pan around the subject, so closer or further away. You can fly towards or fly away from the subject, or you can fly over the subject and just do kind of a revealing shot, tilting the gimbal. So everything needs to be done in post-edit by speeding up or zooming in and zooming out to actually bring it to a little bit more of a dynamic image. And always remember, it's not about how you fly the drone, it's about what you're showing in the video, and you need to show that with a camera that's moving and that's the least distracting to the viewer. Okay, so now you've recorded your clips, you come home and then you download that to your computer. And if you guys use DJI drones, you know that 4K footage, you know, 100 megabits per second is just a killer for your computer. It's high quality imagery, but it's really compressed, and even more so, it's intra-frame video format. That means that you only have every 10th or every 20th frame actually recorded in your file. Everything else, all the frames in between, or encoded. So that means that when you move your playhead in your NLE, in your non-linear editing software, each frame needs to be decoded as the playhead moves through the timeline, and that's really taxing on your computer. So what you have to do, or what you guys should do, is to transform that or transcode that into optimized media or proxy files. Now, I use the Davinci Resolve in the version 17. I can actually choose, do I want to use proxy files or optimized media? What doesn't really matter. What that means is that I actually transform that intra-frame to inter-frame. That means that I have to pre-render all the frames in the timeline so that I have every frame in the file. And now, of course, my software then just needs to show me the frames. It doesn't have to decode all of those frames in between. Now, you need that because you want to have the feeling of how the video is going to flow, and you really need smooth playback when you're editing your video. Okay, now let's get to the editing process. Regardless of which software you use, it could be Davinci Resolve, it could be Final Cut, it could be Premiere Pro, the workflow is always the same. First thing you need to do is to find the matching motion clip. So you want to have that camera follow a steady, smooth motion, always in one direction. The worst thing that you can do is have the camera pan from one side to the other, and then the next clip would be the other way back. That just breaks the concentration and the flow of the video. So try to match together clips that have the same panning motion, or the same motion going forward or backwards, or maybe go from a panning motion to a forward motion, and then the next clip would be the forward motion. You know what I mean. Now in my videos, in my B-roll shots, you guys can always notice that I always go from left to right, and all of the B-roll shots are basically following this same path. This kind of keeps the camera motion the least distracting to the viewer. Now to make your clips more interesting, one thing you can do is basically start slow and then speed everything up to quite a fast speed and then slow back down. This gives the sensation of motion, and that dull, slow panning footage of your drone is just going to become much more interesting, and your video clips are going to start becoming really short. So you need to have a lot of video clips to actually compose together a nice entertaining drone video. Now in Davinci Resolve, I just changed the speed of the segments within the clip, so I might start with a 400% speed and go to 1000% and then back to 400. And the crucial thing is to actually smooth that transition out, so not have it 400, 1000 and then 400 again. That just, that's a really stuttery effect. So smooth that transition between slow moving to fast moving and back. And always remember, follow the rhythm of the song. If you have a fast beat song, you need to have fast motion, and then if the song suddenly stops, you can slow down, and then the song goes back again into speed. You just move back within the rhythm, to the rhythm. This really makes the connection between the music and the video, the visual perception really connect together, and this is what actually makes the magic happen. Now for that punch in, zoom in effect, I basically cut the clip to the beat of the song, and then I just zoom in maybe 20%, one segment, second segment 40%, and then back and forth. One thing you have to be very careful is that the focus point, or the focus element of your shot always stays in the same place as you zoom in. Now I can show you an example. If I talk like this, and then I zoom in, and then I talk a little bit more, and then I zoom out, it's not distracting. I'm just trying to make a point or an emphasis on the point by zooming in the camera. But if I do it like this, if I just talk and then zoom in and then talk a little bit more and then zoom out, this looks kind of weird, and the reason for that is because my eyes have actually moved as I zoomed in to the shot. Whenever you zoom in, you always zoom to the center of the frame, so the eyes, if they're here, they move away from the point they were before, and you need to kind of reposition the zoomed in frame to kind of match the eye. Now you can do this by putting the zoomed in clip on top of the other one, just change the opacity to 50% and then just match the position of the eye, so you always have the same position of the eyes or of the main focus point. This really helps to make the thing more entertaining and not distracting at the same time. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found this video interesting. I hope I answered the question, and yes, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. If you have any further questions, leave them in the comment section, and I will see you guys tomorrow.